Okay, let's start this workshop. Hello, everyone. This is Sam from New Smart Economy. Today, we are glad to invite Alex from Greenfinch to introduce how to use NeoFS with Greenfinch. So, Alex, do you want to introduce yourself first, and you can start your workshop?
Yeah, hello. I'm Alex. I'm one of the developers on Greenfinch, which is a product built on top of NeoFS. We entered the Polaris hackathon in 2022, and we won, I think, the infrastructure and middleware category. And that's where Greenfinch came from, and our experiences with NeoFS, and hopefully helping the community get a bit further with using it in their products and projects. I'm an engineer by day, and by night, I try and find the time to keep Greenfinch up to date with the latest changes in the NeoFS space. Do you want to say anything else, Sam? No? Okay, I will carry on. So my plan today is to show people is where resources around NeoFS are, what you can do with it, roughly sort of how it works. It's quite a complicated beast, but to give people an idea of the principles of how it works, how you can use it right now as a non-developer, and how you can start to use some of the capabilities as a developer, or if you have a project that you want storage for. Hold on. So, I guess I'll just get started with showing some of this stuff off. So when we started working on Greenfinch, which I can show you is here, this is our product, Greenfinch. It's basically, for all intents and purposes, it's Dropbox or any equivalent cloud storage platform. However, in our case, instead of using traditional servers to store data, we use NeoFS. What does that mean? That means that if anyone or if any of you were to use Greenfinch to store your data, it would be decentralized and distributed across multiple machines around the world. So the idea being that you have the equivalent of folders like you do in Dropbox, and you upload images or files or PDFs or whatever it may be that you want. Apologies, I just got notified that my screen wasn't shared. I hope everyone can see it now. I will do that again. Yeah, so what I was saying was we built Greenfinch, and Greenfinch looks like this. And as I said, it's you can see it, but it's basically Dropbox. But we use NeoFS for the storage rather than servers like you would in traditional storage or web applications. Hold on, apparently you're not. Yeah, okay, apparently you can now see. Cool. Okay, sorry about that technical issue. So yeah, so like Dropbox, we have folders, or we call them containers, and I'll get to why we call them that in a moment. But you can think of them like a folder, and you can upload files like images or PDFs or whatever it may be to your containers. These are basic building blocks of NeoFS. So if you were a non-developer and you wanted to start using NeoFS today to store your data, you can do. You could download Greenfinch and you could start using it. And I'll show you how it works in a bit. But before I do that, I just want to take you over to the developers.neo.org documentation site, which has a section under advances for NeoFS. And the reason I'm bringing you here is the first thing I did when I started working on this was discover there wasn't a lot of public-facing documentation around NeoFS. So for me to start building on it, it was pretty tricky. I was really quite irritating to the developers who are building it. And by the way, that's the NSPCC. They are the team behind NeoFS, and what they've done is pretty miraculous. It's a huge piece of work. It's really, really impressive what it does. And when it comes to decentralized storage, there's not much that competes. Their GitHub is really, really active, and that's where I've been getting most of my answers, at least there and the Discord NeoFS group. So I had to dig out from them the information that was required to build on NeoFS. So I've written the documentation that you'll find under NeoFS here, and you have some basic concepts, some libraries that are available to use if you want to get into coding on it, and a sort of overview of starting out, sort of place to start, like how to get test gas, etc., etc. So the concept, I'm just going to start with these because it's not as simple as it could possibly seem like it should be, and there are good reasons for that. Most of those reasons are around security of your data and making sure that the right people can access it, the permissions, etc., etc., and making sure it can't be stolen or deleted unnecessarily. So every bit of data or every file or whatever you want to call it on NeoFS is known as an object. And it's called an object because it's not just the file. If you upload a PDF, or in this case, here's a logo of the Greenfinch logo uploaded, it's not just that file, actually. It's a lot of other information that goes with it. So we call it, it's known as an object. It might sound a bit detailed or specific to keep calling things that are files objects, but it's worth getting into the habit of thinking of things on NeoFS as an object. Objects live inside containers. And again, you might think, why don't you just call it a folder or a folder? Well, a container isn't so much as holding the data, but it's defining what and how that data can be accessed. So this is a very simple container. They can get very complicated, and I'll go into that shortly. But in this case, this container allows for public, i.e. anybody with a Neo wallet, to read and write to this container. Now, that's a very, very simple set of rules on this container. These rules can get much, much more complicated. And you'll come across at later points, if you look deeper into this, about policies and access rights. And actually EACL. So a policy would specify where in the world do you want your data to be stored. So you can say, I want my data to be stored in countries that are currently experiencing less than 10 degrees Celsius as the ambient temperature. I want all my data to be stored on solid state drives. You can set up very, very complicated rules based on how and where you want your data to be stored. And the container would know that information. It would also have what's called an ACL, which is basically an access table. You can specify which wallets are allowed to do what to data or objects within a container. So I can share containers with other people or other wallets. I can say certain wallets can read it, certain wallets can write to it, certain wallets can delete from it, and that's all stored in an ACL table. And all of this kind of configuration is what a container is doing for that data. So when you say I want to store data within, or an object within this container, that object will then adhere to the rules specified by that policy and that ACL table. And by the way, in this case, it's EACL because there's a thing called extended access. And that means that there may be rules on who can access the data on the container. But if it's got extended access, it means that you can also send someone a token, a bearer token, which would allow other wallets temporary access and control over certain data within a container if you wanted to. I'm telling you this because this is basically the big differentiator of NeoFS to other decentralized storage options. It's these policies and these access rights that give NeoFS the edge, in my opinion, over alternatives. So I would come here and I just have a read through this if you're interested in what's going on. But yeah, as you see here, it gets a bit more detailed after the concepts. You've got the ACL permissions, how they all work, how to use them, what kind of basic rules are there already as defaults, how to use extended, as I just mentioned. You can filter. You can say that a certain wallet is only allowed access to objects that have an attribute, foo equals bar, whatever it might be. So most of the information you would need is in here. Now, I am going to caveat that the NeoFS platform has been changing very, very fast over the last sort of 18 months, 2 years. And as a result, this documentation isn't completely up to date. However, it's not wrong. It's just slightly, some of these don't exist now. And I need to update it at some point. But they're very close to releasing version 1 of NeoFS. And when that happens, that means that there'll be almost no big changes occurring after that. So I haven't updated this for the time being, just so that I don't have to keep changing it regularly. But I will be doing it once they hit version 1. And they're currently on version 1 with a release candidate 10. So hopefully we're nearly there. Okay, so that's the sort of, documentation side of all of this. Now I want to show you what we've done with Greenfinch and how you can use it today. So here's a container I created for today. If I want to create a new container, I can just click new container, give it a name, and at the moment you can decide whether or not you want that container to be read-only by the public read-write, or private container. And the important thing here with these public ones is it means that anyone can access it. In fact, you can even access this content through a web browser. Which means, so yes, it's decentralized storage, but that doesn't mean that you can use it as in a web browser. And what that allows is to be able to build completely decentralized websites, blogs, etc., etc. And we're actually going to have a whole section here dedicated to making websites, making it a lot easier for people to do. At the moment, you just think of everything as a container and an object, but this will be getting better. So I can upload, what I'll do is I will just upload that same thing again. So there you go. It's now uploaded. If you upload bigger files, these are very small. You can see here it's 60 kilobytes. If I uploaded a larger file, maybe I can find something. What's that? Let's do that. Should give us, there we go. There's your progress bar. So you can see that it's uploading properly. And there it is. And now, because this is a public read-write container, I can click on that and I actually can just go view object in browser. Oh, because the test network is a bit dodgy at the moment. If I do this on the main net, it will be better. So sorry, you'll see this working properly in a second. So as a result of that, not found, I'll just have to show you around Greenfinch slightly. I was hoping not to, but never mind. This is not meant to be a Greenfinch advert. So when you enter Greenfinch, you would enter on this page here, and you can see top left up here, I'm on the testnet. This is my wallet address that I logged in with. You can use recent wallets here. You can load new existing wallets. You can create one if you've got the private key, or you can create a completely new wallet. One big change where I'm currently in the process of developing, by the way, is Wallet Connect. So you won't have to, Greenfinch won't need to know what your private key is. Currently, it does need to know your private key to help you use NeoFS. When I add Wallet Connect, which should be in the next month or so now, you will be able to do it via the Neon wallet or any other Neo wallet that you like to use. I'm already logged in, as you can see. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to flip over to the main net, because the web browser capability, i.e. this, doesn't work on the test net at the moment. So I'm now on the main net. So money I spend now is real. And that's my balance. So you pay for storage on the NeoFS network with gas, NeoGas. And so to do so, you can see you've got a mini wallet. This isn't very advanced here, but it helps. It's just a little bit helpful here. So the idea being that I've got 0.02 gas on the main net, and I've got 2 Neos on the main net. To pay for stuff on NeoFS, you have to basically keep your NeoFS gas balance topped up. So the way you do that is you move normal Neo gas to the NeoFS network. So in this case, I could do 0.02, and that would transfer this gas from here to there. I'm not going to do it because I want some gas balance on my wallet. But you do that, you click top up, and that will go to your NeoFS gas balance. That will then, as you start to store more data, will start to slowly sort of trickle away and down as you pay for your storage. So that's yeah, that's how you can sort of pay for stuff on NeoFS. So if I go back to containers now I'm on the mainnet, it will be a bit clearer. Here, for instance, I have some MP4s, as you can see, and there's a PDF here. And you can see here that this container is public read-only. So by rights, if I click View Object in web browser, we should now see that PDF in the web browser. There you go. Now, this is stored entirely decentralized, as I was saying before. But it's obviously viewable through a web browser. And this means that you could build entirely decentralized websites on NeoFS. Yeah, okay. So this was me fiddling around. I actually got ChatGPT to make this website to see if I could do it. So this is the Greenfinch decentralized storage gateway. What this is actually referring to is this URL here. So when you upload stuff to NeoFS, you can use the public.greenfinch.app, or as we call it, the storage gateway, to access your data through a web browser. So if you're a developer and you're building a front end, a Web3 application on Neo, and you want to have assets that you want to be able to access through whatever you're building, your NFT store or your computer game or whatever it might be, you can store them in Greenfinch or on NeoFS, and then you can access them via a URL on your web app. Now, this is entirely open source, by the way. You don't have to use ours at all. In fact, probably better if you didn't, because if too many people are using it, we are centralizing a decentralized network. But that was just an example of using NeoFS to store an entirely decentralized website. So those are hopefully the principles and concepts of what you can do with NeoFS. And this is an interface that hopefully will make it easier to use. And as we develop it further and the whole network becomes more mature, we hope to make this more mature as well. And if anyone would like to help us with the development on this, and you happen to be a Go developer, please reach out. We would love the support. It's open source. Anyone can contribute. So that would be great. So I hope that's the sort of basis of what you can do with NeoFS. Now what I want to do is sort of talk a bit more about the development side of it and how you can use it in your projects. One option we have within Greenfinch is this local server. So if you turn on this local server as a developer, you can now use this URL here. And what it will do is it will give you back the JSON of all the objects in the containers that you've uploaded with Greenfinch. So if you were developing on your local computer, you could then turn this endpoint on, and just to get your development going, you could use this JSON to see what assets and objects you've got available to you. So you can see, for instance, here there's a type which is a video. Its file name is Pinzutu Films MP4. That's when it was uploaded. The extension is MP4, etc., etc. And if we look inside here, not that one. Where was it? Was it this one? Yeah, it's actually talking about that one there, Pinzutu. That one there, Pinzutu Films .mp4. So it's all. So we've set this up to help developers just locally be able to build on it. That's one option you have. Another option is we've set up the Greenfinch API, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But Robin, so there's two of us who work on the project. There's me and Robin, and he is watching on YouTube, and he is just pinging me the questions that are coming through. So the first question that came through was, can the Greenfinch API be used for development and for integration with a web application? Absolutely. So yes, so if you were building a web application, I would say start by uploading stuff into Greenfinch. Then, as I just pointed out, use the local server and you can develop against that to pull the assets out. However, there's also the Greenfinch API, which I'm about to show you. So that question is very well timed, whoever asked that. I will show you how to do that right now, because we're not all Go developers and we're not all building desktop applications. But before I do that, the next question that I've got from Robin that came in over YouTube is NeoFS NoSQL? It's not. It's not a database. It's purely data, bits and bytes, object storage on hard drives. Having said that, you can, and we've talked about making a sort of small pseudo database on top of it. Because when you upload an object, you can associate attributes with an object. So you could say, let me think. Let's just do this. So you could have an object, and you might say you want it to have attributes. Sales or product, and then I don't know, making up a shop or something like that, football. And you might have another attribute, which is price, $1, whatever it might be. So you could set these attributes against an object when you upload it. And this is what I meant about it not just being the object that you know, it's not just the file like the PNG or whatever you uploaded. An object contains attributes as well, i.e. like this. And what that means is that when you're searching a container, you can actually say, give me, like, find me all the product, find me all the objects that have the attribute product, which is equal to the word football. So it's not really a database, and it's certainly not NoSQL, but you have a small limited basic ability to query and filter searching on it using NeoFS. Good question. And I will show you here. There was a conversation a few days ago about the price. Roman, you'll see around the forum, he is one of the lead devs on NeoFS, and so he will often answer questions. I'm usually asking the questions. And he explains here there is two types of ways you pay for data on NeoFS. There's firstly the basic income, and then there's secondly, I can't remember what the other one's called. But basically, when I was talking about those policies here, if you make these policies very complex, you will obviously, yeah, so here's an example of a policy. So you could say, I want to only store it in countries equal to Finland or Iceland, and I'm going to store those as something called cold country. Then I'm going to filter the cold country ones, and I'm going to create a new thing called storage type equals SSD, and price is less than 100. Now, if you start to make these policies about where you want your data stored, more and more complicated, it changes the price, because obviously not every machine out there available to store data will meet your requirements. I believe that an epoch on NeoFS may differ in time to on Neo. On Neo, I believe it's 21 blocks. On NeoFS, I think it's, can't remember, it's more than that though. So it's maybe an hour, something like that, is an epoch roughly. So it would be that much gas per gigabyte per hour, roughly, but don't quote me on that. It's worth coming to the forum and asking for more details if you want more. Okay, before answering any other questions, I will just go back here because this is the answer to the first question, which was about, can the API be used for development and for integration with a web application? So someone else who won the Polaris hackathon in a different area, they built a DAO, a platform to build DAOs on, and they used the Greenfinch API, this one here that I pointed out, to do all their development. So for a start, yes, you can do that. This one here, however, is an HTTP API, because basically, because it's decentralized, Greenfinch, the technical details is it uses, sorry, not Greenfinch, NeoFS uses gRPC to do communication with all the servers around the world. Browsers can't do that. So to communicate directly with NeoFS from a browser, you need some API that you can communicate with over HTTP. So we've put this one together for you. Again, you can use ours, api.greenfinch.app, or this is open source and you can go and host it yourself if you prefer. What I really want, just sidetrack, is I'd love it if lots and lots and lots of people were hosting these APIs around the world, so the APIs also became decentralized. That would be amazing, but we'll get onto philosophy shortly. What you can do with this is you can use curl or use JavaScript or whatever other language you like. You can make HTTP requests to upload an object to a container, and all the information about how to do that is stored within the request information here and what you would expect in terms of responses. You can list all the objects in a container, again, described here. You can get an object, and you can get the metadata from an object. So when I was talking about those attributes here, you can consider that the metadata. So you can, instead of retrieving the whole object, you can go and get the attributes for an object and see which ones have what information about them. That's cool because it means you don't have to download the entire object, just the information around it. And then obviously, last but not least, you can delete an object from a container via this API. All of these things, by the way, can manually be done from here. You can see I can click on any of these objects and there's a delete button here, for instance. Can delete the container there, but be careful of that because you'd obviously lose all the data that's within it if you did so. Sharing containers, by the way, this is what I talked about with policies and EACL. You basically need to know who you want to share a container with. We've got this mini contacts area where you can add contacts, their wallet ID, their wallet address, and their public key. And you can even send them gas here, by the way. Those of you who follow the forum who've been around in the Neo world for a while will know that without gas, you can't use the Neo network. So sometimes we have contacts who may need to access our files, but they may not have any gas to be able to do anything. So we added a little helper here to be able to send them gas if you want. Anyway, when you do that, when you add a contact like that, they will appear in the drop down here to share this container with, and then they will be able to see this container on their version of Greenfinch under this window here, because the container shared with me. So if we, for instance, wanted to try this out, and we can do that using this API, you can make the request yourself here, curl or whatever. But down here, we put a little area where you can just see, try this out kind of thing. So I will just run you through how I would do this. So we've got this public read-only container here, and I want to be able to get this image using the API. The first thing I need to do is I need to get myself a bearer token. So you can hopefully see that I know this conversation might sound like it's been going around in circles, but hopefully you can see why I've been saying this now. Because I mentioned extended ACL permissions. And to do that, you need to issue a bearer token. It'll be under tokens. Yeah. So you've got session tokens and you've got bearer tokens. Now, all of this is behind the scenes. I'm just giving you information at this point. You don't need to do this yourself, really. But when you come here, it will say request a new bearer token. So what you do is you get your public key for your wallet, and we've stuck that conveniently under the wallet page here. And you can just click it and it will copy it to clipboard for you. So we can put that in there. And then we want to know what container ID are we actually trying to make requests against. So we can go back to Greenfinch and we can see here the container ID is here. So I can select that and I can put that in there, and I can now request a token from the server. I'll give it a moment. There we go. So this token is currently saying, this container ID, or the owner of this container ID, which happens to be me in this case, would like to allow this wallet to be able to make requests against that container. And then we go, okay, great. So now what I need is the container owner, which is also me in this case, but that's fine. It could be anyone. I authorize this wallet to be able to access this container. To do that, then you just drop your private key in here. Again, if you go here, you had a user doing stuff, but for the time being, we just use private key. So copy that. I'm going to paste that in there. You'll sign that. Okay, so now it's signed. So now we have a token stored in these RNS values. That's just for, you don't need to know what they are, but that's what you need. And this information says this private key allows this wallet to access this container. It will have a time limit, so it will run out after some period of time. Now, I don't want to upload anything, but you can all try uploading in your own time. I'm going to download. I'm going to access this object here. So I'm going to say I know my user interface isn't the best, but bear with me. When we want to retrieve an object, I can just go select method and I want to get it. And then it says you do need to have the file type above selected first. So basically the two types of data that this platform demonstrates uploading, but it's in no way restrictive, is a multi-part, i.e. images, videos, whatever, or just text. In this case, I happen to know that this is an image, so I'm going to select multi-part, but I'm not doing an upload, I'm just setting the type of data it is. As I say, please bear with the UI, it could do with a little bit of improvement around this, I get that, but it's just for demonstration purposes. So now what I can do is I can say get the object ID. So I want this object and the object ID is that. So I put that in there and I make the request. Give the world a minute to think. Oh, no, why did it do that? Hold on. Ah, I know why. Sorry, apologies. This demonstration area here only works on the test net. I was a bit concerned about allowing this to work directly on the main net. It is possible to use it on the main net, but I've disabled it here for this demonstration. So what I need to do is I just need to flip back to the test net quickly, just to show you what I'm trying to do here. Give it a second, it will reload my data. What's going on today? Come on. Well, what? Where did we get to? Have people not been able to watch? Has everything been okay? Okay, great. Sorry. Okay, so I don't know where I got to. So I'll start again. So I was demonstrating using this the Greenfinch API. Okay, I was demonstrating. I don't know. Sorry, I've just heard that we lost the connection, but I'll carry on. So I was demonstrating how to use the Greenfinch API for web-based development. So I don't know where we got to, so I'm just going to sort of carry on as we were. I made an error because I was on the main net. Currently, this is only working on the test net because I've disabled the main net just because putting private keys around, I was just a bit paranoid about that. But I can turn on main net whenever. So let me see, the goal I was trying to do was see if I can access this object through the web browser. And this would be the equivalent of what your development would do or your web apps might do to get this. So let's try again. First thing, public key from Greenfinch there. Next thing, the container ID there. No, why is that the same? Why is that not copying properly? It's a bug, everyone. Why is that not copying? I'm gonna quit and open it again, okay? It was doing this just before we started. It was working, so I'm hoping it's just and you can, as a result, you get to see a login though. Takes a moment because it's got to speak to all the servers on the network. Flip over to the test net. There we go. Something was going on there. Okay, try again. So that goes in there. That's the container. Remember what we're trying to do. Is it in here? Yeah. We're trying to get this object using the developer web-based API. So public key container ID request a token. There it is. Now we get our private key. And we drop that in there. and we sign the token with that. Then we have to specify that we are down. I know this, I don't know where I dropped out, by the way, but I know this is a bit odd UI, but you have to set what type of data it is before you do the download, and it happens to be under upload. But as you see, you do need to set the file type above first. But remember, this is just for demonstration purposes. This isn't how you'd actually use it. This is just a proof of concept for you. So then we're going to get an object, and this is the object that we want to get. So let's get the ID, and we can drop that in there. And if all goes to plan, the suspense. It's classic. You do these. It might just be taking time to connect to our. Pending. It could take a moment. I don't know why, because our API is slow potentially, but we'll see. Let's see if that gets anywhere. Maybe I can try this one. Apologies if this doesn't work. Literally before I did the demo, this was working absolutely fine. But the key here, by the way, is this will work if you do it yourself. But the key here is if you were a developer, you can copy these commands, these network commands, to whatever language of your choice. And let's say take the curl, for instance. And there you go. That's the request being made. And in fact, most of this is totally irrelevant. You don't need any of that, actually. So there you go. So what that's doing is now it's making a request to the API to get an object in that container, that object ID, and that will retrieve your object. We can actually try and see if that will work. As I say, apologies, isn't working right now, as it was working this morning. No valid public key. So my public key was wrong. That's why. Which means I got something wrong at this point here. Anyway, I won't keep going on about it because it does work and you can try it, and you can contact me if you have any questions about it. But this is how you can use Greenfinch products to build web-based applications and access data over this API. If you want to see, again, this code is all open source. And the code that this website is running is very, very prototypey. This I just wanted something that demonstrated it, so I haven't put a lot of time into this. This sandboxy area, as we're calling it here. But if you want to see what it's doing, I've just uploaded the code to a link here, and you can see how to do it using JavaScript. There you go. There's the private key stuff that we were just generating. So you can play with this. You can use it yourself, etc., to use NeoFS. And the final thing I want to show you is I haven't publicly listed these, but they are public. If you are a Go developer in any format and you want to use Greenfinch within Go, I've created some very simple scripts. Each one does one task on NeoFS. So this one just creates a container. This deletes a container. This adds permissions to a wallet, so someone else's wallet to be able to access a container. This gets the content of a container, the details of a container. This lists all your containers, and this tells you how big a container is, i.e. the data inside it. Same for objects: delete, download, get the head, query the content of a container, basically by filtering on attributes, which I mentioned earlier, and how to upload. I've got some basic wallet functionality going on as well here, but if you want these scripts and you're a Go developer, or you just want to be able to, I can turn these into binary applications for you if you want, so you have a command line tool to create a container. However, what I recommend is if you want to do that, they have the SDK which is what the basis of all this is. So you may want to go into that if you're a Go developer. They've also got this is their example of using NeoFS in the browser, because they've got some very basic sort of upload downloads functionality that they support through their servers. So you can play with their uploader and downloader here. There's an image. And the other place you might find interesting is the status board for NeoFS. You can see information about it, what storage nodes are available, etc., from here, and you can. It's got it for testnet and mainnet. There you go. So I think I'm just going to check if any more questions came in. I think that's everything I have to show you. I made a mistake somewhere here. I'll find this out and probably realize quite quickly what I was doing wrong. But please do reach out if you want to use any of this stuff. If you have any questions about it, we are here to help. It's 11:45 my time. I can answer any more questions that come through. Robin's sending them to me. Yeah, so a question just came in. Do you have an example for using JavaScript too? Here you go. Code to see how to interact from JavaScript. Top of the Greenfinch API page, as I just showed, pointing out. If you scroll down here, you can see how to upload raw data. You can see how to upload a multi-part file. You can see how to get a bearer token. You can see how to request data, decode the metadata. What else have we got in here? Signer token. So yeah, so most of the functionality is all in here. Again, I'm not a JavaScript developer, so this is not product-based code. This is purely for the demonstration. So you may have to fiddle with it, but the principles are all here. That I think was the final question that came in there. As I say, the network is changing very, very rapidly at the moment. So I'm having to keep our Greenfinch products up to date so that you have something to use. So if anything doesn't work, please jump on the Greenfinch Discord. We have one here, and I am more than willing and welcome to help you where I can with any of this stuff. It is really, really, really cool. What you can do with it compared to other decentralized storage networks is just impressive, and I just wish it got more marketing because the other ones seem to, and I don't know why NeoFS doesn't. Our goal, by the way, with Greenfinch here as a product is, as you can see, we've got this area called containers as a website. So we're going to add some capabilities like make your own blog, make your own website, and we'll have tools and helpers here to make that much easier for people to do. We're also going to add an NFT management portal. These things have begun development, but we can't really do these until we've got Wallet Connect working, which is a very new feature in NeoFS. But they will be coming here. We are kind of hoping one day that we would have a sort of page here that was all, a sort of a home page for where all the sites stored on NeoFS. So it's a sort of Greenfinch becomes your one-stop shop, because in the world of blockchain, 99% of these things, you buy the currency, you hold the currency in a wallet, and then what? But Neo is the only blockchain really that has this as a native product, i.e. storage. So if we can have one place where people go, and we want that to be Greenfinch, it's like, here's my files, here's my money, here's my contacts, here's my address book, here's my chat, and it all happens within this. That's where we're trying to get to. And I tell you this because A, if you want to help us do that, then great. But B, because I want you to understand what you can do with this. Like someone mentioned in the questions, NoSQL. It's not a NoSQL database, but there is very much the capabilities to be able to make that kind of thing possible using the attributes. So it's really powerful. So start thinking about what you might do with it, and please come and ask questions or brainstorm with us. We've had some great conversations over in the discussions page on the Greenfinch server about what we could do. So come and join in and come and discuss these things with us. Apart from that, I can't see any more questions. So I'm going to leave it there and hand back to Sam at that point.